again from CDN. It's Chris and Deb here.
Hi, everyone.
Hope everybody's doing well. It is currently Saturday, June 27th.
Wow.
Our last podcast was
May
26th or 27th. Okay, I know it's been a month.
Is a month, and we were in Myrtle Beach enjoying family vacation with the kids. And we've done a lot of traveling since then.
Yeah, we've been trying to get it on, get up the East Coast. We haven't been staying for months at a time. We've been staying for a few days to a week at a time. So we're currently up around Chesapeake. We're in Norfolk.
It's actually Portsmouth, Virginia,
True.
on the side of the Elizabeth River that we're on right now. But our goal was to be here by the end of June. And we actually made it, last week? So like by June 21st, we were here.
Yeah.
So it's been exciting. So we thought we'd just take you through some of our adventures during that time over the last month. Some of the trips that we've had.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
And there were some uglies, but there were a lot of goods too.
Yeah.
I guess the first thing that happened, we were trying to get ready to leave Myrtle Beach Yacht Club. And we decided it might be a good idea to have a diver look at the bottom of the boat, since nobody had looked at it since we were on the Hard in Jacksonville like last October, right?
Well, that, and I've been struggling to get CDN up on plane on a regular basis. So, you start figuring that out. One of the first things you do is you check the bottom to make sure that there's not a bunch of growth down there or there's stuff stuck to the propellers and whatnot. So we had a diver go down and clean the bottom. And after he cleaned the bottom, he came up and he goes, well, the bottom's nice and clean, but you got a ding in one of your props.
So the only thing I can think is maybe when we went on that soft grounding before we got to Hell's Gate, that's really the only time I can remember touching bottom at all.
Yeah. But I think that was it. I mean, it's just amazing how much you have to stay in the lane here. You got to stay between the markers, man. Even getting out a foot or two can sometimes lead bottoming out. But anyway, the nice thing was I kind of figured in order to fix a prop, you had to pull the boat out. But the diver who was doing that was like, no, I can pull the props off in the water. I didn't know they could do that, but he did it.
He did, and then it was either his wife or his
mom. Both. They were both helping out. Family business.
They took it to Wilmington and had the props repaired in Wilmington. So it just delayed us leaving the marina by 3 or 4 days, I think. 4 days. So we were all ready to leave. This was June 5th. It was a Friday, and Chris went to start the ignition on the engines, and we couldn't get the starboard engine to start. So we did some troubleshooting and found out that the battery was low, our big boat battery. So Chris, actually, you had spare battery, 12-volt batteries on board, and you were able to hook one of those up and get us started. So we did get out of the marina probably about 1:30 and pulled out onto the Intracoastal, heading north, and there was so much boat traffic.
Yeah.
Remember, because it was Friday? Oh, there were boats everywhere. Little boats, big boats, jet skis, kayaks, you name it. There were boats everywhere. So we decided that we would make it to Southport, which was really not that far away. It was only like 37 miles, 40 miles. And we made it to the marina right around 5:30, right when they were getting ready to close for the day. But there were some great dock hands there that helped us dock. Remember, we had to go around the fuel dock and back in, and the wind was blowing us away from the dock, and actually took us 2 attempts, but we
I was
docked.
I got the rear end in between the posts on the first shot, but I didn't back in fast enough. So the wind started pushing the bow to the starboard side, and the thruster wasn't strong enough to fix that. So I just pulled out and started the process again. You just got to keep your momentum going. I mean, you got to square it away. You got to put it in reverse and go to get the bow in before the wind can get hold of the boat. So, continue to
We learn
learn.
every day.
I mean, no damage, no issue. It just took me two times instead of one to get in.
We had a great time in Southport, though. We really love Southport.
Yeah, we did.
And since there was so much boat traffic, we asked and they allowed us to actually stay until Monday morning, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, some great dock hands, Roger and Nick, give them a big shout out. They
Big
were
shout out.
awesome.
Yeah.
Bent over backwards to help us in any way they could. I mean, super great guys. And then another cool thing while we were in Southport, we got to meet the AGLCA legends, Robert and Kay Creech, where they keep an eye out for any loopers that are coming through. I think they watch on Nebo, probably.
Well, they use it all. They use Nebo. They use
AIS.
AIS. They use different tools. And as soon as you roll in, the deckhands, the marina knows that they're supposed to let us know that Robert will be down to meet us, but he was out fishing that day, so he wasn't able to come over that day. But he certainly texted us and had us come over to his porch the following day.
And we had a great visit.
We did.
We sat there, probably for 3 or 4 hours till it got dark.
Yeah, we'll post some they have an amazing place.
Beautiful
the views,
view, yeah.
Yeah, we got some great pictures of that area. And
well, one of the cool things too is he produced a document that we had gone to one of the Looper Paloozas or whatever their meetings are called, and he had presented on the trip. So he was able to go through that document with us step by step and tell us what to expect the rest of the way up to Norfolk. So that was kind of fun going through that with him too. Lots of stories, lots of laughs, lots of good times. Thank you for your hospitality.
Yeah,
it was
if
awesome.
you're watching.
Yeah. So, that weekend you did some oil changes on the engines, on the diesels, which was awesome.
Changed the oil and the filters on both the diesel engines and the generator. Easy to do. The boat's equipped with what they call a reverso that pulls the oil out. It's a pump, pulls the oil out and then sucks the new oil in. Pretty simple. The harder part is just getting the filters on and off.
Yeah. So we got ready to leave Monday morning. That was the plan. And started the engines, and we had battery issues again. So, Robert had actually recommended some great people called 2U Marine Services, and we called them, and Jason and Adam actually were able to deliver the big starter boat battery for us to replace our other ones.
Yeah,
so.
The batteries, the big batteries for both engines, they're huge. They're 120 pounds. The battery that I was using, which is a radar 12-volt deep cycle battery.
Like a car battery.
We tried to charge the main battery overnight, and it didn't hold a charge. Those batteries are only good for 3 to 5 years, and it was at its lifespan. So we had to buy another $120 battery. And since those batteries are so massive and so hard to get in and out of the engine room, I needed help to do that. So these guys came over and took care of it right away.
Installed it, fired it right up, and took off. I think we were supposed to be out of there by 11, and I think we left at noon.
Yeah, just a short delay.
Yeah, so this was Monday, June 8th. And our next stop was actually just a short trip. We went 25 miles to an anchorage at Wrightsville Beach, which was really nice.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
It was a great trip. It only took us 3 hours. We were able to get up on plane too as we went
Yeah,
across
which was
Cape Fear,
weird. But
which was strange.
I mean, the cool thing about these anchorages is the Great Loop Association, their website lays out all these anchorages, and they're spot on. Just beautiful every time, and usually there's other loopers in there, so they're pretty popular.
And the thing I remember about this anchorage was we had gusty winds that day. Remember, it was up to like 28 miles an hour. So we actually ended up putting the bridle on and spent the night with the bridle, and everything worked out great. No dragging, the anchor alarm didn't go off, which is always a good thing.
And for those of you who don't know what a bridle is, we actually did a video of me putting the bridle on, and I'll apologize ahead of time. Some of the wind noise is kind of...
You can tell how windy it is.
Yeah, but it's also kind of annoying. But we're not professionals at this,
Yeah.
so we're doing the best we can. But we did a video.
Yeah, that was fun. We got up Tuesday morning and we left that anchorage, and our next stop was another anchorage at Hammock Bay. And that was a 40-mile trip and took us about 5 hours. And we did do a little bit of a soft grounding around the New River when we were heading back to that anchorage. Do you remember?
There was some shoaling going on, and we were right on Bob's tracks, and we were right on the GPS and all that, but the shoaling had pushed into the channel a little bit. But that was just sand. That was no issue.
No problem. The cool thing when we pulled in this anchorage, do you remember the dolphins as we were putting the anchor down? There was a pod of like 6 dolphins that were feeding and just around the boat. That was our little welcome party when we got there.
The neat thing about that anchorage too was that's where was it the Army or the Marines?
Yeah.
Who was it?
I think it was the Army.
I think it was the Army. They have a camp there. There's a training area. They use that marina for training, and they tell you about it before you get there. And it's also designated shooting range at certain points of time. You have that information?
Yeah, that was the next day when we went across the live firing range.
Yeah,
across by ICW. The funny thing was when we got there pretty early because it was a shorter trip. We probably pulled in at like 2:00. There was one boat there in the anchorage before us, so we pretty much had our pick. But by evening, there were probably 8 to 10 boats anchored in this area. So we had a great night. It was super calm. Yeah, we watched TV. We played 5 Crowns, just a normal night on the hook. So it was awesome. And then when we got up the next morning, which was Wednesday, June 10th, most of all the boats had already left.
we're not morning people.
We are not early birds. So we thought being up at 8:00 was pretty good, but everybody else was already out of there. So our goal was to leave by 10 till 9 because there was a bridge that we had to time an opening for. Our goal was to be there at 9:30. So we left the anchorage at like 10 till 9, and we were actually there by 20 after. So it was a quick, easy trip. However, while we were waiting there were a lot of currents pushing us toward the bridge. Remember, we had to keep backing up and try to fight the currents along the way. But after we got through that bridge, that's when you saw great big signs that said, "Caution, live military firing range. If these lights are flashing,
stay out.
Do not proceed."
Yeah.
So I had called actually in the morning before we left just to make sure with their schedule that there wouldn't be any live firing this week.
For sure.
Across the ICW.
But what's wild about it is there's on the mainland, and then there's the river, or the Intracoastal, and then on like a barrier island, there were targets. So they were like half tracks and old tanks and things that have been put there, and you could just tell that they've been shot up,
like ballooned to smithereens.
Yeah, so they were the targets that they would use to shoot at. So yeah, we made real sure we weren't in firing range.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy though. And then, let's see. We went past a little city called Swansboro, which neither of us were a huge fan of. There was just a lot of boat traffic out, kayakers and canoers and small power boats, and we actually had to pause a couple times and wait for them to cross. They weren't afraid of our big boat at all. And then we went past Moorhead City, and what we're on the way to Beaufort.
Mm-hmm.
Beaufort.
Mm-hmm.
Not Beaufort, Beaufort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they pronounce things really weird down here. Like it's not Norfolk, it's Norfolk.
So anyway, we're passing Moorhead City, and what's crazy going on here this weekend that we were there, which was like June 11th and 12th, they were having the Big Rock Marlin fish tournament going on. So I was very surprised that we were even able to get a slip in the marina, but we stopped at a marina called the Homer Smith Docks.
Mm-hmm.
We had a little bit of trouble getting into that just because we had never been there before and we didn't know where the marina was at. There were all kinds of crazy channel markers pulling in, and there was like a fleet of probably 10 or 12 little sailboats. They were having a little regatta or a sailboat class or something. So we dodged all the little sailboats and were able to get into the slip. It took us 2 times to get in then because we sterned in starboard. And the winds were like 14, 16 miles an hour. It was really windy this day. So we had a nice dockhand that helped us into our slip, and we went and explored. They warned us. They were like, the fishing tournament's going on. If you're going to a restaurant, you got to get there early or you're not going to be able to get a seat anywhere if you don't have reservations. And we didn't have reservations.
But we also didn't have any trouble.
No, we didn't. So we found everybody had recommended a place called Agua for dinner. So we went ahead and made reservations for right when they opened at 5:30. But before that, we found a funny little
right next door,
a backstreet pub.
And man, it was backstreet. I mean, this place was. I mean, it was just so rough. It was adorable, and the bartender in there was hilarious. This lady, do you remember her name?
Trisha.
Trisha.
Her name was Trisha.
Oh my God, she had us crying, laughing.
She'd been a bartender for
30-some years, and she should have been. She's got to go on America's Got Talent or something. She
so
is
many
an
stories.
Absolute comedian.
A bit of a rough mouth, but
that's okay.
It was fun. So when we were in this little bar, they were talking about the fishing tournament, and everybody was like discouraged because somebody that day or the day before had caught a 919.9 pound blue marlin, which broke the North Carolina state record by 3 pounds. And so everybody was like, there's no way we're going to be able to catch something bigger than that. So, I mean, it was kind of, everybody was a little low.
And the payoff on that was $6.5 million for that fish.
Yeah.
The tournaments, you're like a $25,000 entry fee to get in. So can you just imagine? You hadn't even gone out yet. You pay your $25,000 on like the very first day of the tournament. It's over.
Basically. And that is the one that won the tournament. So it was crazy. Okay, so we were only there for one night. Our goal the next day, which was June 11th and a Thursday, we love traveling during the week instead of on the weekends. We were up early and we had winds. Like big winds, like 15 to 20 mile an hour winds. And they were coming right at us. And so we knew it was going to be a challenge because we had to pull out of the dock and turn immediately to starboard and then make an immediate turn back to port to get out the channel, to get out the bridge. right? Am I telling this right?
Yeah.
So I'm in charge of ropes, and usually what I do, I try to stage the ropes where I take any of the ones that are slack off, and I usually take them off the cleat and put them up on the side of the boat and then pull them in later as we're pulling out. So I got the slack one off and we got the stern one off, and I was holding on to the back stern one, and we caught and got help for the bow line and the front spring line because the winds were really blowing us. So Captain Chris pulled out great, no problems. We got turned, pivoted to the starboard, no problems. And then all of a sudden the Dockian's yelling at us, "You're dragging a line!" And I'm thinking he meant a line off the dinghy. So I run to the stern. I don't see anything off the dinghy. And he's pointing to where I had thrown the spring line up on the boat. Evidently, the wind had blown it off, or the fender knocked it off something. Excuse me. Anyway, that stern line was dragging. So I'm...
Not for long.
Not for long. So I go to grab it, and it's taut or tight, however you want to say it, which means it was already in the prop. Not a good thing. So we're yelling at Captain Chris, "Chris, stop the boat, stop the boat." And he's like, "Why? I got to make a turn to port here." It's like, we're dragging the line. So when he stopped the boat, evidently the prop had chewed it up enough, I guess.
It broke the rope.
It broke the line. So I was able, once he stopped the boat, I was able to pull the line in and get it up. And we make our turn to the port to get out the channel. And and we were both like, "Okay, do you feel a vibration? Do you?"
I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, you can't make this shit up. I mean, it's just it happens. But we got out of there. Long story short.
Yeah. And then it was low tide. Remember pulling out under the bridge, going through all the crazy zigzags to get back to the ICW? You could see land on both sides as we're going through these little zigzag channels. Yeah. Okay, so we got out of there, and then the next thing, we went through that little channel that was great, protected on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to get to the Neuse River, which is huge, right?
Yeah. It's the biggest river in
North Carolina.
The state. Yeah, the
widest
river.
I'm sorry, I think it was like 5 miles across, if I remember right. And so we were worried about what the wind was going to be doing as far as waves, but it was actually beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing we had problem there, we got waked by a big sport fishing boat.
I mean, it was slow passes are what you're supposed to do in the channel, but we were out in the middle of a 5-mile wide river, and one of the fishing boats was flying behind us and didn't slow down and was real close to us. Didn't need to be near as close as he was, so maybe he was throwing out a huge wake, so I had to turn into the wake and bang.
Knocked drinks over, made sure we had to go back and make sure the dinghy was still back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we turned left into the Grace Harbor Channel. And this was on the way good. You want to talk about the Grand Dunes Marina, going back to get into the marina?
No, go ahead.
You talk for a minute. My voice, I need to.
Oh, you having a problem?
Drink. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Let me get from here.
Where we leave off here?
We're going back into the Grace Harbor River Dunes Marina.
Okay. Towards Oriental?
Yeah.
Okay. It
was a skinny little channel getting back there, remember? We pulled in, everything was fine, and then we had to turn left to get back to the River Dunes Marina. And it was real skinny, the real skinny channel that we pulled all the way back into, and then we hailed them on the radio, and the radio, and they met us there.
Mm-hmm.
That was a beautiful marina.
It was.
Beautiful. It was like a resort. There was a beautiful swimming pool. They had a nice restaurant. And after we had traveled like 5 days in a row, we ended up staying an extra night just to chill out a little bit before we kept moving. So we stayed there until Saturday morning, June 13th. And then our next goal was to get to Belhaven. And this was going to be about a 37-mile trip. The problem was when we looked at the weather that morning, there were storms that were scheduled to come in at like 2 o'clock that afternoon. So we actually got up and left at 9, which is early for us. So,
You did a lot of the driving on that trip.
yeah, I did. I drove probably for first couple hours because all we had to do was get back up on the Neuse River, which was beautiful, calm again, and then follow back to get to the ICW. And remember, we passed that R.E. Mayo seafood place and a big bridge, and we got out onto the Pamlico River, and it took us that was pretty wide. It took us about a half hour to get across that. And then we went around a point and went north to get onto the Pungo River. And this day was beautiful, beautiful, calm days. And we actually we saw a barge, which was the first time we'd seen a barge in a while. Barge passed us. And then we turned to the left and went to the channels leading back to the Belhaven marinas. And this was a bit different of a marina. Most of the marinas you pull into have like slips and docks. Instead, this marina had just like 2 big walls. So cement walls that we pulled up to.
Yeah, but that was a cool stop. I mean, him and his wife, Mary?
No, this is Ken Burke,
Oh, Ken.
the fellow that had cashed in his IRA and bought the property 2 years ago, and it had a cute little like the office was really cute, and he had a deck off of it with a big
little
sail,
bar in there,
a bar, and there was a gazebo, and the storms did hit at like 3 o'clock because they were having their once a month country music festival in the little park right next to us. So we got to hear that while it was playing. Just this Belhaven was just a little small, sleepy,
very small,
like a Norman Rockwell little town. Did it have a stoplight? It might have had one stoplight. Maybe.
But that was the marina where that big storm hit.
That was the next day.
Yeah, that was, man.
Yeah.
We were sitting up in the
this was Sunday, June 14th. I've got it written down because it was.
We went downtown and I think went to Ace Hardware or whatever and did some shopping. We came back and Deb stayed up at the office sitting outside doing Sudoku or whatever it is you were doing up there. And I went down and was kind of working on the boat and doing some stuff. And all of a sudden the sky got kind of weird. So I put down the isinglass, most of it anyway, thinking, and went up to meet with Deb, and not 10 minutes later, all hell broke loose. I mean, this storm popped up and there were reports of 67-mile-an-hour winds, lightning left and right. There was some hail, ripped the guy's flag off its pole. He had a sail cover that was ripped off. I mean, it was so bad you couldn't see 30 yards. You couldn't see the boat. And there were several boats that were
actually damaged,
lined up, and a few of them were damaged. Yeah. The boats were bouncing so hard off of the poles. Unfortunately, one of the boats that was there, his rub rail actually went up higher than the pole, and it came down on the pole and just ripped the rub rail right off, put a big hole in the side of the boat.
Yeah, it was bad.
We didn't have any damage, knock on wood, but it was a scary half hour.
Yeah, the water was even coming under the door, remember? And there were probably 10 people
inside the bar,
all like
huddled together
waiting, watching the radar, watching this big red cell come at us. Yeah, that was scary. But then after that was over, we went up, we found a place called Jack's Tavern.
Yeah, nice place.
Really nice place. They had great pizza.
Yeah.
Had a Hawaiian pizza that was awesome.
Yeah.
And we met 2 other boating couples there, so we exchanged boat cards. That's kind of a thing. Have we ever talked about boat cards on the podcast?
No, but I got one right here. Here's somebody's boat card. So yeah, you just get boat cards and you just like business cards, you exchange them and stay in touch with each other.
So that was kind of cool. So the next morning we got up. We were planning on not leaving till like Wednesday, but Monday morning we got up and looked at the weather and decided that the best weather day to be able to make our next big crossing would be on Tuesday. So Monday you finished changing the oil in the generator and we did laundry and tried to get the boat pulled together, and we had a Mexican dinner at that El Mariachi place. So that was kind of cool. So the next date, Tuesday, June 16th, big day.
Mm-hmm.
We had to go, our next goal was to get to Coinjock, North Carolina. And it was going to be 87 miles to get there. Long day. We figured 10 hours. So we picked the best of the weather days to cross. We left the marina at 7 o'clock in the morning. People had always said the best thing to do is to get across the Albemarle Sound in the morning, and we knew we weren't going to be able to be there till about, noon, I guess. So we made it through the Pungo River Canal, and then there's this big body of water called the Alligator River that heads up to get to the Albemarle Sound. And when we got to the Alligator River, it was already rough. Remember, it was windy and rough, and we were like, if it's this bad in Alligator River, what's it going to be like when we get out to the south? So we had to request an opening at the Alligator River Bridge.
Yeah, what was interesting about that is the first time ever they'd asked us for Coast Guard documentation. They've had to run downstairs while I'm out there hovering to get our Coast Guard documentation and give them the number. And then it was fine. They opened up.
They opened up. Do you remember how adamant he was about not making any wake as we
left because they were doing construction?
Right. So we get out into the Sound, and it's rough.
Yeah, I mean, this Sound, you get people who talk about the crossing the Gulf and worrying about rough waters. A lot of people think that this crossing, although it's only a couple hours, it can be worse. I mean, a lot of seasickness. A lot of people have a hard time getting across the Sound.
And for us that day, the wind was coming from the north and the waves were coming from the north. So once we got out into it, we were able to point the bow into it.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably had, 2-3 footers?
Yeah. I mean, there was the water with the spray was breaking back up on the windshields again. And of course, the windshield wiper quit working.
Just stops. So I'm running downstairs to the midship, and I'm filling a bucket up with fresh water and pouring it over the windshield to get the salt water off so Captain Chris can see where we're going. That was a rough hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then we got to a great place called Coinjock Landing. And
that's where Greg and Mary
Greg and Mary. Yeah. So this was not a marina. Actually, when we booked it, they have a private dock right in front of their big, beautiful house.
There's a lot of almost like VRBO kind of things where people who have deep water or maybe shallow water, I don't know, docks, put them out there on the site, and you can actually rent that. Don't always know what you're going to get. Sometimes they don't have power. Sometimes they do. Sometimes it's only 30 amp versus sometimes there's water or not. But usually a heck of a lot cheaper than the main marinas.
And these guys were awesome.
They were awesome.
Very nice hosts and hostesses. They helped us tie up. They offered to drive us into town to get groceries. They helped turn our fenders horizontal so that as the fast boats went by at night, we wouldn't have trouble with their pylons, and super nice. But while we were there and talking to them, we were so surprised because our next plan was to hit a place called Atlantic Yacht Basin. And we were going to stay there a couple nights and get into Norfolk or Tidewater Marina on Friday. But then they explained to us what was going on in Norfolk the weekend that we were going to be there. They were having a huge harbor fest, and
250-year celebration for the U.S. So
the Sail 250 tall ships were coming in on a boat parade on Friday. And they were actually going to take their boat and they were going to escort one of the big tall ships in. So we started talking about it and we were like, well, why stop at Atlantic Yacht Basin? Because Wednesday was supposed to be a beautiful weather day. So, and we only had, 50 miles to get to Norfolk?
Mm-hmm.
So it's after hours, but I called the Tidewater Marina and I'm like, hey, we're in Coinjock early. Is there any way we can get into the marina on Wednesday afternoon instead of waiting till Friday? And actually, Caitlin texted me back within probably 15 minutes and said, yeah, come on in. It'll actually be better getting here Wednesday than Friday's going to be crazy. We got like 50 boats coming in that day. So we went to bed exhausted from our big crossing in our 10-hour day, but excited because we were actually going to get to our landing point and get to experience all this fun.
And the one thing too, I told those guys that we would kind of mention is, he owns the land on the other side, the Intracoastal as well, and he's building a brand new marina. What was going to be the name of it?
Well, and it's going to
The
be
landing. It was going to be called the Landings of Coinjock. And it's going to be a marina. It's going to have a restaurant. It's going to have gas. So
a ship store.
Yeah, he's really excited about getting that going. It's under construction now, but in the next couple of years, if you guys are headed through Coinjock, consider Coinjock Landing as an alternative for your overnight stays.
He's also going to have, what's it called, dry stacks, where you can park your boat.
Small boats, they take them out, yeah.
And take it out. Okay, so next morning we get up early at 8 o'clock. We only had 50 miles to get to Norfolk.
Mm-hmm.
But we had to worry about bridges that opened.
There's several bridges, both railroad bridges and regular traffic bridges, and they time them out on the hour and on the half hour. So you kind of got to judge your speed and figure out. So, it's getting there early and hovering, sometimes it's a easy peasy kind of thing. There's no wind. There's really not a lot of current.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to pay a lot of attention, but other times the current is moving. So you're constantly changing direction and trying to stay away from other boats and whatnot. And unfortunately, both the railroad bridges, which are normally open because there's usually not a train going through, were closed. So we had to wait for both of them.
Yes, we did. And then we had one bridge that only opened once an hour. That was the Great Bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up getting there early at like 12:30 and had to hover until 1 o'clock. But then after we got through that, we went straight into a lock, which was my first lock.
Yeah, he hadn't been on the other one, right?
No. And the good thing was it was a 2-foot lock. So the water only went up and down 2 feet. So it was fairly simple. But we got into Tidewater Marina at like 3:20 in the afternoon. And we only had 50 miles to go, but it took us 7.5 hours.
Because of all the bridges and stuff.
Timing everything, yeah. So then we were so excited. We got up the next morning and the boat parade came.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was amazing. So we actually climbed to the very top of our boat and put our West Marine chairs out. It started at right around noon. And I think they said there were like 60 ships.
Yeah, they were from all over the world.
30 different countries.
There's a they're on a tour, so they're going north. They're headed up to Baltimore next, and then they're going to keep going further north.
New York for the 4th of July.
But these are all the old clipper ships, and the Coast Guard ship was there. You mean 300 or 400 foot boats? I mean, really cool, and you get to go on them. So, got to climb all over them and go inside and go down and see what it was like to be on the older boats, and
it was really cool.
Really cool.
They did a great job, and probably the most exciting or the best part, one of the best parts, they had a fireworks displays both Friday night and Saturday night, and I mean they were the best fireworks I've ever seen.
That's because
we've seen a lot.
We were right next to the barge that was letting them off. I mean, they were going off right over our heads.
And I don't know if we'll be able, I took some videos of the grand finales that lasted probably like 2 minutes. I don't know if we could post those on here, but that would be really fun. Okay, so now we're in Norfolk and we have a decision to make.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. We don't know what we're going to do. We don't know whether to push further north and see how far we can get, like up into the Great Lakes. We have a grandbaby being born in mid-September, a grand girl, yay. And we don't know whether, I guess where we're at right now is the most northern part that you can actually leave your boat in the water.
Is here.
Over the winter is here in Norfolk. So
yeah, my guess is we'll probably just spend a lot of time in the Chesapeake this summer, take some really cool side trips to Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. And there's a lot. I mean, people spend years in the Chesapeake checking it all out. My guess is we'll probably end up doing that and then bring it back down here for the cooler season and then get started on the loop again next year. We would really have to push it to make it all the way. And if we got up to the Great Lakes, we'd have to pull the boat out and winterize it and
shrink wrap it. And, yeah. So we're trying to make that decision. We'll let you know what we decide on our next podcast. But look at this. We talked
42 minutes. 42 minutes and 21 seconds.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we'll let you go on this one. I'll go ahead and edit and put pictures and videos and stuff on. I'll try to get this posted in the next couple of days.
Let us know if you have any questions.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hey.